Okay, this is Erro's day one, session one of training. It's just a different angle. I had two cameras, so the other camera is in the back of the trailer. It's hooked up to the back of the trailer, and this gives you a better view of my behavior, what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and when, and all that. There's a Greek word that means the application of wisdom. The word is phronesis, and it's what makes training people to train horses so difficult. Is some people have a gift for phronesis and others have to develop it, and I think you've got a gift for it. But phronesis just means doing the right thing to the right person, and in this case, the horse, at the right time, in the right place, in the right way. So you're trying to approach it from a very holistic standpoint. So what that means is that what am I doing? Where am I standing? What's my body language saying? How soft am I being? How firm am I being? And you're just making all these adjustments on the fly. So you notice, like, where I'm standing, I'm pretty far back away, because if I was closer and waving that flag, that's just going to raise the pressure that he's feeling from this stimulus. My body creates stimulus. My hand movements create stimulus. These walls create stimulus. The trailer creates stimulus. Just all of it. Everything within the environment means something. And so I'm waving the flag around, and we're kind of dancing a little bit together. And then he stops in front of the trailer, and I back out of the camera view. I'm creating distance between us, because that's going to help him more quickly process his emotions and what I'm asking him to do. So you can see that flag that's flashing in front, and so that's just me saying, like, hey, you got to do something. And of course he's going to move his feet. He doesn't know what I'm asking him to do. When I add stimulus, he's going to do something. When he does the right thing, I quiet down the stimulus. His mind will eventually piece that together and say, oh, what you're asking me to do is this, right? So there he kind of moves his head out of the trailer, and I flash the flag, and he puts his head back in the trailer. Here he comes out. Here I start flashing the flag again. And see, sometimes that flag moves quickly with a lot of energy, and sometimes it's real soft. And it's that phronesis. It's the application of wisdom. It's what do I need to do right now in this very moment? And that changes depending on where he's at. This is what a lot of horse trainers, quote unquote trainers, this is what good trainers will do, I'll say it that way, is they make all these adjustments on the fly. So sometimes they'll be real firm, and a second later they'll be real soft. See, I'm getting more firm. I'm like, you got to find this. If you don't find it, it's going to get bigger. That stimulus has got to be bigger than the problem, but not so much bigger that it blasts him into the trailer, because now he's in the trailer, but he's not in the right state of mind. So I want him to just face the trailer, and you see my body just kind of quiets down, and I just sit here. I might even back up a little bit. Yeah, I kind of was backing up. And as soon as I back up, he turns and looks at me. I'm just creating more distance even from the camera and myself, so I can stand back further, maybe even get a better camera angle. My dog up there in the corner, and that's adding stimulus. And stimulus is fine. What we want is a horse that can think through the pressure no matter what's going on. Right? I'm saying face it. He's like, I can't. I don't want to. See, I'm softer. I get a little firm. See, I'll close the distance in between us. Like, hey, I'm serious. Right there, he's kind of... See, he's like, he wants to kick. But he doesn't want to kick, right? It's like he's... It's like, I'm just so scared. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Life can be very scary sometimes. But, see, in his mind, that trailer, this is where all horses go to die, right? And I'm being facetious and serious at the same time. Try not to be too anthropomorphic. But to him, like, this is a real life threat. And I know it's just a trailer. I know that, he's not really going to die in there, but he doesn't know that. And so, this is the Brene Brown empathy stuff. Like, I've been in places where I thought I was going to die. I went through my first divorce. Thought I was going to absolutely die. Turns out I didn't. Turns out it ended up being a pretty decent thing to go through that. But in the moment, oh man, I thought I was dead. And so I just go find places in my own life's experience that take me to empathy so that I can always have empathy for the horse. So I'm backing up right there. Notice he's real still. He's kind of stiff. It's like he's just like totally... He's frozen, right? So there's fight, flight, frozen, and collapse. That's the fourth one we don't talk a lot about. It does show up in horses if you overexpose. So you never want to overexpose the stimulus. See how soft I was right there? It's because he's really trying. He's giving it all he's got right now. And I'm just going to sit here and let him work through that. See, they need time and they need space. A space between us to helps him be able to take the time it takes to process. Now his head's starting to lower and he's getting a little bit softer. Might be some licking and chewing that's coming. The other video where it's in the trailer from that camera angle, it's like a 10-minute long video that you're watching it from a better view if you want to see the horse from that camera angle. And again, we'd sit here for 8 hours if he'd stay engaged. Some horses need that much time to process kind of stuff. I mean, not that much time, but it's just like humans. Some horses process things much quicker and they're a lot more curious and they got certain personalities and gifts that come with those personalities and they have certain deficiencies that come with their personalities. And so you just got to meet the horse where the horse is at. I really like Erro a lot. And, his head starts to adjust like, hey, can I be done with this? And I just kind of flash that flag softly. Like, nope, we're still watching you. See, if you're not 100% attentive and catching those micro movements, the horse knows that. He'll pick up on that. So there I stepped in just because I'm saying, hey, I want you to do a little bit more. I want you to try a little bit harder. I think you can try a little bit harder without overexposing you. And we'll see if that's correct, if I was phronesis about it, by his response. So his response is, what happened is I closed the gap between us, flashed the flag, and that unstuck his mind. So his mind was maybe a little frozen, a little stuck. And so he unstuck it because his head went down. That means his thinking brain is on. He's processing things. He's licking and chewing. He's rubbing his fabrici on the ground. See, it's going to come in stages. First stages are going to face it. Second step is they're going to get close to it. Then he's going to put his nose on it. Then he's going to put his nose over it. Then he's going to put his foot on it. Right? So we're actually moving along quite well. I think we're maybe 10 minutes into this video right now, maybe-ish. And here he is just standing up in there, and you kind of see him like, see, now he's exploring, and there's a little bit difference between trying to get out of the trailer and trying to check out the trailer. And if you know, a lot of people misread that wrong, and if you misread it wrong, well, then you got an issue on your hands. I think my phone rang in there. That's why that first video of being in the trailer is 10 minutes long. And I'm going to have to split that into two. I'm sure there's a way you could. I'm not a movie editor, so I'm just giving you what I got. This video is going to be about 28 minutes long because it's just the full thing, start to finish. So 10 minutes into it, we got his feet in there. He's put his Febreze on the sides of the trailer, on the floor. Here he is exploring again. This is all great stuff. I mean, this is where a horse starts to realize, oh crap, this thing's probably not going to kill me. And see, it feels safe in there because there's no stimulus going on outside. So we're making that trailer, the thing that he thought was going to kill him, actually turn out to be a pretty decent thing in his life. So if I make it about the trailer, you know, we're going to miss all this time to be able to emotionally process stuff. So it's another thing that people do that's not well for their horses. They make it about the task to be done. And we live in a society that is task driven, right? My self-worth comes from the things that I accomplish, and the things that I accomplish come from the things that I get done, right? The little tasks. And while that's true, that's only one wing of the bird. And if you got a bird with one wing, that dude ain't gonna fly very far. And so the other way is just to be, right? There's nothing to do. It's just a state of being. And so we're just letting him be. You know, the horse doesn't have any tasks that he feels like he needs to get done. So I want to meet him with where he's at and let him go at the pace that he's going to go. So the way to do this, a better way to, I think about this and approach everything you're doing with your horse, I tell everyone to do this with their life, is there's a difference between goals and results. And they're often used synonymously, but they're not synonymous terms. A goal is something that's very different from a result. The result is the outcome of your goals. So the goal is not to get the horse in the trailer. That is not the goal. That's the result. The goal is to help the horse feel safe and give him enough time to process that this is a safe space. And that comes from how much stimulus I'm providing, when, like how firm or how soft, where I'm standing, you know, how close, how far away, what angle I'm at. I mean, how come I'm not standing over there by the left side of the wall? How come I'm standing off at that little angle to his back hip? How come I'm not standing over by the door? I mean, there's a lot of places that I could be standing, and all right, so I added stimulus and he backed out. And that's fine if he backs out, but I can't make that. See how I shut that all down? So I kind of went forward, he backed out, and I increased the stimulus. See, if you back out, it gets worse. It's not so much, right? How come I wasn't doing somersaults and firing off shotguns? That would have been too much stimulus. And so you're just playing in this balance of, again, what the Greeks called phronesis. So the result is that if he feels safe, he'll just step into the trailer. The goal is to help answer any questions of safety and help him focus on it and let him take the time that it takes. Right? And if we can focus in on our goals, then we'll get the proper result that we want. I don't want him in the trailer. I want that trailer to be the safest place he's ever been in his life, and that's a big difference. See, if I just make it about getting in the trailer, I don't care about what that might feel to him. And if I don't care about what it feels to him, well, now I'm void of empathy. And if I'm void of empathy, well, I mean, what's the point of doing anything? At that point, empathy's everything. And so he's just taking his time. See, the horse will just give you everything that he's got. There's no ego in a horse. There's a sliver of a prefrontal cortex. So he's not worrying about 5 minutes ago. He's not worrying about 5 seconds ago. He's not worrying about 5 minutes from now or 5 seconds from now. They don't dwell on the past, and they don't trip on the future. They just live right now in the moment. And so this moment that I want this to be the softest, greatest moment that he's ever had in his life. And no matter what we're doing, that's what I want to duplicate. I'm going to use stimulus. The stimulus is not what teaches the horse. It's the release of the stimulus that teaches the horse. And the reason is because as soon as the stimulus quiets down, then they get to quiet down. And when their mind quiets down, then they can process things. They can lick and chew and really get the dopamine and the serotonin running through the system. See, he's got his head down. So he stood there for a little bit. There's a feel to it. The real good horsemen like Buck Brenneman and Ray Hunt, they'll tell you got to follow the feel. That feel tells you what kind of adjustments that you need to make. See how nice and soft he went in there? So I felt earlier, just a second ago, I felt like he could give me a little bit more. So I added a little stimulus, and then he stepped further into the trailer. I backed away, and notice he has stepped in here now. He made the choice to go into the trailer fully without any stimulus or anything. So here I'm going to back up. I'm actually going to change the camera angle. But I'm just letting him have his moment right here. That just needs to... He made the choice to come in. It's like, wow, what happens if we give horses the space to do things in a calm, confident state of mind? And, what kind of behavior do they exhibit when they have confidence instead of caution? He found a little extra hay kind of just hanging out there. I didn't put that hay in there. That's just from his travels from California, and some of it had fallen down on the ground into the shaving, so he figured it out. And that's great, right? So here he's just, you see, it doesn't look like he wants to get out of there. Looks like he's like using it as a shade to get out of the sun, maybe. This is a beautiful horse. Right, so he's just checking things out. Now he wants to step down, and what we see here is maybe getting in the trailer might be a little bit of a difficulty, but coming out of the trailer has probably never been that great of an experience for him either. And so he's going to be a little trepid. He's going to show us some trepidation. But he's exploring. He's trying to get confident. So head down, brain on. He's trying to think through this. There he's licking and chewing. Right? So that behavior right there is a horse thinking. A lot of people want to, maybe you're in the saddle or something like that. Look at how nice and soft he steps out. Watch when he does it. But if you got a horse that's putting his nose to the ground, some people will pick the reins up and tell their horse to like, hey, pick your head up. It's like, no, let him think through that. I mean, what if you were trying to figure out a real difficult math problem and the teacher came over and like took your calculator from you, took your pencil from you, or and then came in and just stood right over the top of you and was like, hey, you better think through this, and then gave your processing tools away, took them away from you. It's like, let him think through that. So right now, he just had a fantastic moment. He made his own choice to go into the trailer. He didn't come rushing out of the trailer. And so I'm just letting everything kind of marinate and set in, right? And so he stepped out. And I just wanted to watch his body language of what would happen. Now here I'm going to add a little bit more stimulus to say, okay, we need to get back to the problem. Back to the, and maybe it's not a problem, right? But we need to become better in life. And there's things that we got to do to be good in life. And when you're a horse, you got to be good at getting in a trailer. So we just got to return back to this thing at hand. Notice that head goes down. Just because they did it one time doesn't mean that they're not over it. So if a horse ever wants to, I got horses that'll walk in and back out and do whatever you want in a trailer. And sometimes they'll still, after the many times they've been trailered, they'll walk up and they'll start to put their nose down on the floor. And it's like, go for it. I always encourage that. I want my horse to feel like if he's ever got a question that he will be honored with the time and the patience to be able to answer his own questions and solve his own problems. If they never feel like they have that time to be able to solve their problems, you can teach your horse to start panicking and start getting anxiety when a problem shows up. I want my horse to start thinking and put his head down and feel like he's got the whole time in the world to do it. And that all happens in these little training sessions right here. If you give him that time now, he'll take that time when you're in the saddle. Last thing you want to do is be in the saddle and have a horse that doesn't feel like he's going to be able to be given the time and the patience and the gentleness to think through his worries. So you see how little and how distant I am from him, meaning literal, the physical distance between us. Like, I don't gotta be micromanaging this kind of stuff. I want to show my horse I trust you. Now he's got to try to figure out, how do I get out of this thing? And here's a problem, and you'll notice when a horse has got a problem and he's given the time and the agency and the space to be able to work that out, see how naturally he puts his head down and thinks through it. I want him to do that. If he can do that, he'll move through it pretty slowly and calmly. See that little trot that he's got? It's not very calm, it's not very soft, but then he shuts it down, quiets himself down, and steps into the trailer. What's happening right now is that I'm asking him, get in the trailer. It's taking him now, 10 seconds, whereas the first 10 minutes of this video is 10, 11 minutes just to get his front feet up into the trailer. It's now taking him 10 seconds from the time that I ask him to get in the trailer, and he'll just walk over. And again, he's not rushing into it. Right now he's picking up a little extra hay. See those big breaths that he's taking? He's snort. It's not a snort. He's just blowing. He's taking big blows out of his nose. And what you want the horse to be doing that, especially when you're riding. Most important thing you could ever hear when you're in the saddle. This is a big horse going, that's just him like resetting any emotions that he's got in there. It's helping him to calm down. They don't want to have cortisol and adrenaline running through their bodies any more than we do. So I'm just coming over here and petting on him and loving on him and just showing him, hey, this is a good thing. I had Emily, my assistant, go over there and flip that camera on inside of the trailer, and so I've got the inside trailer view of what's going on now. I can add that video too. So here I'm just asking for his attention. There, he's giving it to me. Now he puts his head down. Right, he's still trying to figure things out in life. There's some holes within him that need to get filled in, make him a much more solid horse. But this is a good place to start. I'm just adjusting my chaps. It's kind of a cold, windy day, and so I'm just kind of zipping them down. So here he's just checking things out. He's just curious. Take caution and move it to confidence. You have to cross over the bridge of curiosity. This is what curiosity looks like. They put their head down, they start touching things with their nose and rubbing their Febreze on it. Every horse is a little bit different. I mean, they generally are going to do that. Some horses will put their lips on it and like be real lippy. Others want to like have their teeth, right? Sometimes they'll just rub things back and forth in their teeth. But generally speaking, that's what curiosity looks like. See him get curious about me, and he kind of came and touched me on the face with his Febreze right there, and that was a little sign of trust. It's kind of a little way of him saying thank you for giving me the time. So we were starting to have a little connection there. As long as he's standing in there, I'm not going to ask him to do anything. I just want this to be a good thing. If he wants to come out, he gets to come out. Right? So it's I suggest for you to come out, or for you to go into the trailer. You suggest that you want to come out of the trailer, and we just start having a relationship. See how nice and soft that'll be. And now I just want to see, as soon as you come out, you've got this idea that you want to come out. What if all of a sudden I immediately had an idea for you to go back in? What would that look like? And you saw how I flashed that flag real soft like, and just, that was all it took right there. So you just you work on this at Liberty, for a bit. I think here we do it for about 28 minutes total. And eating can be a good thing. He's just kind of picking up some of the scraps that have been left down. I think at the end of the video, I clear out some of those shavings and I throw a little handful of hay down. There's a time to be able to use positive reinforcement training, which is what's going on right here. Sometimes I'll call that clicker training, where you feed them a treat when they do great things. And there's also a time when that kind of stuff won't work because you don't have their mind engaged, but it's good enough. Yeah, here's a little handful of hay I got. He's able to handle clicker training or positive reinforcement training and interpret that well. If you do it wrong, you can reward bad behavior. So here maybe the idea is just, he'd face the trailer, and then he'd come up with this idea to step out of the trailer, and maybe having a little bit of food will help you not get to that idea of coming out of the trailer so soon. Maybe you might want to stay in there a little bit longer and have a good experience, right? So